Welcome everyone to lecture number 19. In this lecture we are going to discuss about the different types of majorities that is required within the parliament to pass any bill, okay, or impeachment of president or removal of high court judges, Supreme Court and Supreme Court and all. Okay. First we'll discuss about absolute majority. Absolute majority is indicates like it should be the vote for any or like for the against the any decision or in favoring of any of the decision. The vote should be to win the vote to pass any bill or to pass any decision. The vote should be more than 50% of the total strength of the house, and and this number this number is fixed. This number is fixed. Okay. It means the Rajya Sabha capacity is 250 and Lok Sabha capacity is 545. So the total number absolute majority will be counted, like the minimum vote that is required to pass the decision will be 273. Okay, 272 plus 1 in this case. Okay, and now in this case 1 2 5 plus 1 126 vote is required. So let me check the calculation. 272, okay, yeah, correct. So that's what it means by absolute majority. So pass any bill in the Lok Sabha, you would require 273 in your favor, and in the Rajya Sabha it will be 126. Okay, and this type of election is required for this type of majority is required in the election in the electing the election for the president and vice president of India. This thing is required for electing. This majority is required for electing president and vice president of India. Okay, absolute majority. We understood what exactly it is. Easy peasy. Okay, 50% of the total vote, and 50 more than 50%, like plus 1, whatever the half it is there. Now simple majority. What is simple majority? Simple majority tells like vote will be required more than 50% vote of the member present and voting. More than 50% of the vote will be required for the members. It does not count about the total number of strength. It just count 50% of more than 50% vote is required for the members who are present plus they are voting. If someone is absent, so his vote will not be counted. Okay, and this number in this case the number varies. Okay, it is this simple majority is also called as a functional majority. Also called as a functional majority. I hope you are understanding it. Very easy concept. I'm telling you in very layman term. Okay, where this uses come when the simple majority is required. Simple majority is required while electing speaker of the house, deputy speaker of the house, then passage for the confidence motion, passage for the confidence motion, no confidence motion, adjournment motion, money bill. In these case, this in these such cases, simple majority is required. 50% of vote for the members present and voting. Okay. Now, third. So initially, when a political party want to form a government, they should have a absolute majority. When any government require to form a initially when a political party wants to form government, then they should have passed absolute majority, that total number of more than 50% of the total strength of the house. But when the government will continue and will be done whether this government will continue through this no confidence motion or not, whether this government will continue or not, in that case then it will be required in this no confidence motion and all, then this simple majority comes here. Okay, when this government is disposed, you have to prove that when this passage of what I tell no confidence motion is brought up on the floor, floor test is required for any government to prove their majority in the parliament. So in that case they required simple majority. Okay, but if they want to form the government, the absolute majority is required, but at the time of for the floor test they have to prove this with the simple majority. Okay, now effective majority. What is this effective majority? In this case, more than 50% of the effective strength of the house. Effective strength of the house. Okay, well, what does this mean, effective strength? Effective strength will be your total number minus vacancies. Okay, total number minus vacancies. So however there is like in Rajya Sabha, if we can see seats are vacant sometime. Okay, if the seats are vacant, so effective majority while going for the effective majority will deduct with the total number of seat, we will be reducing the vacancies from that. So difference between effective majority and simple majority, in the simple majority it is like 50% of vote present and voting, but in the effective majority 50% of the 50% of the vote of the effective strength of the house, that is total number of seat minus vacancies present there. Okay, I guess it is pretty much clear. So what do we understand by if effective majority? So we'll reduce the vacancies from the total number of seat. Let us suppose in example for the Rajya Sabha, total number of strength is will be 245 members. Okay, 245 members. Okay, suppose the total 245 members is the strength within the Rajya Sabha. So within the 245 members, 45 are vacant. 45 are vacant. Then the effective majority of the Rajya Sabha will be 200. Then like total, like total, so not effective majority, so actual strength of the Rajya Sabha is 200 now. Now the effective majority is 50% of 200 plus 1, that is 101. In that case, this effective majority is required. And when we are considering that effective strength of the house is calculated, so in the constitution, wherever this term, all the then members, whenever this term is used under the constitution related to any vote and elections for the parliament, in that case it denotes the effective majority. Okay, where these cases, where this effective majority is used, this effective majority is used first in removal of vice president in Rajya Sabha through how? Through Article 67B. Second, removal of speaker and deputy speaker from Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly. Okay, and Vice President of India is elected by absolute majority. As I have said, Vice President of India is elected by absolute majority, but it is removed by the effective majority. Okay. Similarly, Speaker of the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha also, they are being elected by the simple majority, but they are removed by the effective majority. Okay. I hope this is pretty much clear. So usage of majority, through Article 67B, it comes removal of speaker, deputy speaker, Lok Sabha, removal of deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha. Sorry, I have used the term speaker for the Rajya Sabha, that is the chairman. Okay, so in those such cases, this effective majority is used. So Constitution of India has used a specific phrase to describe the effective majority. Whenever the Constitution talks about the all the then members of the house, then it means that it is talking about the effective majority. Okay, now very important, another, this is pretty much complex, this is called a spatial majority. Let me make it more big. Now a spatial majority. Okay, first, it has a different type of flavor. This spatial majority have different types of flavor. First flavor that we have of this spatial majority, it comes through Article 312 of the All India Service. Okay, through Article 312 we can build this All India Service Commission can be formed. Okay, through Article 312. This flavor one comes from not Article 312, it comes from Article 249. Don't be confused in starting. This Article 300 is, it is the example for how this flavor one was used. So All India Service, through Article 312, All India Service denotes the formation of the article All India Service. In this it is mentioned that flavor 1 of the special majority will be used for the creating the new division under the All India Services. Okay, For this law, for making adding more service under the All India service, it has to be passed through the special majority flavor 1. Earlier IFS was not there, IAS and IPS was present. Addition of IFS was introduced through this special majority only. Okay, so what this flavor 1 tells, it comes from article 249. This flavor 1 tells that more than 2/3 of member, more than 2/3 of member present plus voting will be called your special majority. Okay, if it is need to be passed through flavor 1, then only 2/3 of the member vote you have to require, they are who are present plus voting. And this is used, if you give example, through article 312 in the All India Service Commission. It is used to, if you want to add any more wings under this All India Service Commission, so it should be passed through a special majority flavor 1 through article 249. Okay, now what is flavor 2? Flavor 2, or you can tell this type 2. This comes from the article 368. Okay, under this you need 2/3 of members present plus voting. Okay, whatever we have seen it here, 2/3 of members present plus voting plus absolute majority, plus absolute majority is required. This is okay. Okay, so usage, where this flavor 2 is used. This flavor 2 is used under the removal of judges of Supreme Court and High Court, or removal of CAG, Chief Election Commission, Controller, Auditor General, so amendment of Constitution. Bill has to be present in the Parliament. Bill has to be passed by both the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. In that case, in those scenarios, this flavor 2 is used. Okay, in those scenarios, this flavor 2 is used. Now we'll see flavor 3. Okay, now we'll see flavor 3. Flavor 3 is also, in this also, a special majority as per article 368. Whatever we have seen it here, it is through the article 368. So all those things will be applied here. All those things will be applied here. On top of it, it has to be rectified 50% of the states. Okay, so I guess it is pretty much clear for everyone. So in that case, we, as per article 360, whatever we have found, now 50% of the more vote is required for passing of the flavor 3. And these such scenario is used when the GST bill was passed. In that case, like this bill go to the each and state, and through the state also it has to more than 50% it is required to be passed. Okay, so GST bill had the power because it involves as a federal nature, because in state and center both were involved. The GST bill passed was through this flavor 3 special majority. Okay, now under flavor 4, now under flavor number 4, in this comes from article 61, which tells about the impeachment of president. So if we see, while through flavor 2, we were telling that these things are used for removal of judges of High Court and Supreme Court. We used the term removal But when we are telling about the removal of the president, we don't use the term removal, we use the term impeachment of the president. And remember, this term impeachment is always used for the president. You can't use this term for high court judge, supreme court judge, or anywhere. This term will be used only for the president, and you can't use any other term, removal or move from any places like that. No, no, you have to use only the term impeachment for the president. And this is the toughest majority. In this, it is required 2/3 of the total strength of the total strength of the house. Okay, toughest majority. Removal of president will go through this one. Okay, I hope this concept of the majority is pretty much clear for everyone. I forgot one thing, revision for this whatever I have taught. So we have discussed one in the majority section, absolute majority. In the absolute majority, there is more than 50% of the strength of the house is required. Okay, whatever the house strength is there, let us suppose for the Rajya Sabha 250, then 126 is required. If Lok Sabha is 545, then 273 is required. Absolute majority. These things are used for election of president and vice president of India. And what are the procedure for the election of the president, vice president, we will discuss in separate lesson. There is a complete separate session for this thing. Now simple majority in this, like 50% of vote is required, but it will be for the people who are present and voting. Okay, it was for the total strength of the house. It is like the people who are present there in the parliament and voting there, or not parliament, like a state legislature as well. Okay, so present plus voting, and this number varies. These things are used for speaker, deputy speaker, passage of like for the confidence motion, no confidence motion, adjournment of motion. So these things, money bill, for money bill also, these things are used. Simple majority is used. Now what do you understand by effective majority? Effective majority is like 50% of the effective strength, more than 50% of the effective strength. What does it mean, effective strength? Effective strength means total strength minus vacancies, whatever the vacancies present. Generally it is seen in the Rajya Sabha scene that there are some seats are vacant. In that case, we'll deduct those vacant seats, and then we'll calculate the actual strength. Okay, so let us suppose here we have given example 245 is, let us suppose, is the seat. So 45 is vacant, so actual seat is 200, and now 50% of the 200 more than 50% plus 1, so 50% of the 200 is 100 plus 1, 101 is the actual strength of the house. That is called effective majority. And this effective majority is used for removal of vice president, or removal of speaker or deputy speaker, legislate in the Lok Sabha and all. Okay, now we'll talk about the special majority. In a special majority, there are different flavors for it. Flavor, total 4 flavors are there. In the flavor 1, that comes through article 249. Flavor 1 comes from the article 249, and it is used like as an example. We have seen that in the article 312, it talks about the all India service, where we can add the extra wing through this flavor 1 of the special majority only. Okay, so what this is special majority is, so we need 2/3 of the members of the present and voting. That will be called as a special majority. Straight and simple, 2/3 of the member present plus voting. Whatever we have seen in simple majority is 50% more than the person present and voting. Just forget about the 50%. Here we'll replace that 50% with 2/3. Okay, so 2/3 of the member present plus voting is required for the special majority flavor 1. Where it is used, it is used through the article 312 in the all India service wing, all India service, if you entered extra wing. Where IFS was introduced through this process only. Now flavor 2. Flavor 2 talks about, it comes through the article 368. Flavor 2 comes from the article 368. It talks about the 2/3 of the member present plus voting, and it should be absolute majority. It is not like that. Let us suppose house strength is 245. Let us suppose house strength is 245, and due to something, let us suppose they captured the ministers. Opposition party captured the ministers, or the ruling party, they have captured total 150 ministers. So number of strength has been, let me reduce for the ease of calculation, 145 members has been reduced. Okay, So how many members left with us? 100 members only for the voting. Okay. So for to challenge this kind of scenario, now the ruling party need only 51% of the vote. 51 people vote only in the favor to pass any bill and all. Okay, so that's why flavor 2 talks about the, okay, that is fine, two-thirds of the member present voting is required, plus we need absolute majority also. So what is the strength of the house is 245. So what will the absolute majority? Absolute majority will be for this 1 2 2 plus 1 123 will be the absolute majority in this case. Okay, 1 2 2 2 plus okay, so 120. So minimum people should be present 123. Okay, minimum people is required 123 vote. Now above that, if the above that vote is going on, then we will calculate 2 by third of the member present plus voting. I guess that's it is, and it is you are able to understand. I'm explaining in very layman term. Now flavor 3 tells about that whatever the things you have seen in flavor 2, that is coming through article 368, all the things will be applied here. On top of it, the instant of the state ratification, 50% of the state support, legislative assembly support is required to pass that bill, and this thing we have seen in the GST. Okay, 50% of the vote of the state is required in passing that bill. And through the flavor 4, it comes from article 61. This is mainly used for the impeachment of the president, and it comes from what this tells. It tells that two-thirds of the total strength of the house is required, and this has been never been used yet. Okay, and removal of the Supreme Court judge is also not been used. So article 61, impeachment of the president, is used through the flavor 4, and it is the toughest majority, and two-thirds of the total strength of the house is required. And whole total process of removal of the president, how this vote comes from, how this vote from is required for the election of the president, removal and all, we'll discuss in the separate session. Right now we have discussed about the majority, different types of majority. I hope this is pretty much clear. Okay, thank you.